As the Pro 12 returned to our screens, the Scarlets were hoping to return to the top. The Dragons were hoping to start climbing the table, while Newport, Cross Keys and Llandovery all jostled for position at the top of the Welsh Premiership. The Blues and the Ospreys battled the elements and each other in the big Welsh head-to-head. And there was another East-West battle to savour as we witnessed the first ever gay and inclusive Welsh derby.
It's going to be an absolutely fantastic day for building bridges off the field and showing that gay inclusive rugby is on the up and that we play as hard as anybody else.
And the man whose magic left boot made Welsh World Cup history.
It's all moves on so quickly. I was back before I knew it, and you know I wanted that because I was eager to get back and start playing regional rugby because I hadn't played scrum half for a while.
Good evening and welcome to the programme. So the Pro 12 is back after a 2-week European break. Ryan Jones and Phil Davis are here as part of a heavyweight back row to analyse all the weekend's rugby action.
And I'll have the latest from the Principality Premiership and the weather-disrupted games in the lower league. And get in touch with us here on the programme as well, at BBC Scrum5 on Twitter, or you can email us scrum5@bbc.co.uk.
So all that and more to come, but we'll start tonight with a big Welsh derby at the Liberty Stadium, a place where the Blues hadn't won for 10 years.
Before the main event at the Liberty, some of the Ospreys and Blues players attended Tagfest in Swansea, an Ospreys organised tournament for under-7s and under-8s, which included 47 teams from both regions and over 500 children.
Come on, boys! It's a good event, really. You know, it gets all the kids out from the computer games, and they're always in on the days like this, especially it's freezing, it's raining. It's good to see a good turnout, and it's been a good day.
Quick tag! It's a big thing, the grassroots rugby, getting the numbers up, and all events like today is encouraging people to come along, and then you've got the Blues Ospreys after, which they can go and watch. So it's a good opportunity for them to play here, do their thing, and then go down and watch their heroes play then.
The Ospreys were without Wales front row international Scott Baldwin and Paul James because of injuries, with Steve Tandy's side aiming for back-to-back league wins for the first time this season. The Blues, with just one win in 8, had Wales captain Sam Warburton back after illness, with Jared Evans starting at fly half in his first full Pro 12 game, in for Rhys Patchell, who had suffered concussion.
High ball into the box. Walker's come across again, and the winger's done exceptionally well. Despite the attention from Evans, Dirksen is not normally accustomed to playing in the midfield.
Hughes!
Fairly lengthy injury list for the Ospreys. Well, not staying on their feet there, holding on as well, and it'll give an opportunity for the Blues to put the first points on the board.
Got the young and up-and-coming Jared Evans. What a game this is for him.
And that, you have to say, is a very, very assured strike from the youngster. Eli Walker at 10. Another mazy run from the winger, Tippereth. Finds his captain. He's tackled by Felice.
Hands away! Ball available, play.
Through the phases, ball behind. Oh, chance of an interception now. Tom James came up his wing and has taken a bump. He's down, but Evans continues. Little offload, that's gone forward. Turnbull.
Advantage for one, boys.
Is there advantage coming? Williams goes down in, and I think they all look at the referee and say, oh, just blow it.
Scrappy that, wasn't it?
Well, that's a disappointing sight.
He's obviously done something to his head or his neck. And another disappointing sight.
We saw Dan Bigger taking a little bit of a bump in that first half, and he has duly been replaced by Sam Davis.
Oh, feet.
Well, he's called feet,
Front row,
presumably
black
you mean his feet are too far
knees.
back.
Let's have a look here.
Nigel Owens is calling. Feet. They're a fair way back, in fairness.
They are. That's nice.
Decent strike again from the youngster. Now that was a very, very good kick. No wonder he gets a high five from Dan Fish. Ashley. Jarvis is there to support. Baker this time. Standing start. So not an awful lot the number 8 can do.
It's difficult for the Ospreys here because the Blues aren't committing anyone to the ruck, making their tackles, get back on their feet, get in the line.
Bevington, this time with support from Parry. Baker clears out. Jarvis is there.
This is how you're going to do it if you're going to score. Have to pick and go.
Oh, it's a good drive from Alan Wynne-Jones, and he's over. Referee right on the spot. And just when he needed someone to come up with the goods, it's the Ospreys captain in second row, Alan Wynne-Jones. First try of the game, and probably no more than the Ospreys deserved. And a sensible call for the hooker coming on. Hit the front. Otten just that. Haberfield back to Davis. Davis thought about the pass. Hit in midfield by Mitchell, who does very well to pinch it. Illegally so, though, says the referee. Picture of concentration from Davis. Good strike. The chase comes from Grabham.
Number 6, you look straight for him.
And Josh Turnbull. And you have to say, given what's just happened, that is a very, very soft penalty to give away, and the coaching staff will be fuming. And the second time of asking, doesn't miss. Nothing really on for the Blues. Almost devoid of ideas now, and the Ospreys, there's the rip. Come back for Sawai, takes it on, it's a knock-on, that'll be enough.
Crossed on right.
The Blues haven't beaten the Ospreys now in 9 encounters.
I was asked in the week, is this next 6-week period going to define the season? I want to say no, but potentially it could do. Obviously, with the Six Nations on the horizon, you know, you don't look too far, but we don't have too much to do coming that time.
You know, I thought we matched them for quite a bit of the game. Perhaps a few decisions went against us towards the end, but we got to be a bit more ruthless in that contact area to stop that happening, and the game went away from us.
Well, Phil, these Welsh derbies are either heart-stopping thrillers or attritional affairs where the team that makes the fewest mistakes tends to win, and I guess you could say yesterday's was the latter.
Yeah, it's very attritional. You know, I think you know, both teams, you know, are sort of coming back together, if you like, after the World Cup. And, you know, the weather didn't help, that's for sure. But, you know, you've got to admire the physicality and, you know, and the commitment of the players. And I thought the Blues' defensive effort was quite impressive. They certainly turned up, you know, with an aggressive mindset, with a mindset of getting, you know, the Osprey runners on the floor early and contesting a breakdown to give them, you know, to give them line speed. To get off the line and make those tackles.
We'll talk about the defence in depth in a few moments, but Ryan, I just want to talk to you about Sam Davies. He got man of the match yesterday and he only came on at half-time. A real testament to the influence he had, and that was really a masterclass of game management we saw from him.
Yeah, I think he showed maturity way beyond his years yesterday. He is a former World Junior Player of the Year. And I think we've seen the influence playing with the likes of Dan Biggar has had on his game. You know, it was a performance we'd expect of Dan. You know, arguably the best 10 in the Northern Hemisphere. But you know, we never like to see a guy come off, and I hope Dan's okay. But this really is world class from Sam. What he's done here, low trajectory kicks at the Liberty Stadium is key. It's a part artificial surface, so they practice this for hours, skidding this ball along. You know, the Blues will be disappointed with their back three positioning, but time and time again, Sam just got the grips with the game, grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and kept that Osprey pack going forward. And coupled with the Blues' ill discipline, the Ospreys pack gaining possession in the attacking third, that changed the game. And we see there what we've come to expect in Ospreys 10, slotting the ball over from 40 yards as well.
Quite familiar, wasn't it? You mentioned the Blues' defence, Phil, and that was a positive to take from yesterday's defeat. Prior to that game, they had the leakiest defence in the league, conceded more points than anyone else, almost as many tries as anyone else as well. But at times, particularly when the Ospreys had more than their fair share of possession, the Blues held firm. Yeah, they did. Look, they've got another, yet again, a new defensive coach in Graham Steadman. He's a quality coach, and you know, and he'll be trying to put his system in place.
and you are going to get inconsistencies. But here's the example, you know, of the first collision. First guy goes low, second guy targets the ball again. Baker does really well to miss the first tackle, but then Lou Reed, as I say, instead of going for the ball, he tries to go for the space, gets his foot on the ball and makes things quite untidy, you know, for the Ospreys, and Dacey gets a turnover. Here, they're defending their line, they come off the line well, you know, they make the tackle, and then there's Dan Fish, his +1 job on over the ball, and he sort of slows it up, and he gets a penalty off Nigel Owens, and the Blues relieve pressure. So that was, for me, a very positive part of the game. There are other things, what you do with the ball, obviously, but I think they would have been pleased yesterday with their aggression and their tenacity to slow the ball down and get their line in place and then come off the line.
Yeah, look, as Danny Wilson tries to change the culture at the Blues, set piece and the work of the pack will be big for him, but defence and work around the breakdown is key. Is one of Danny's mantras. They'll be looking to compete hard at the ball. We see there Lou Reed putting a foot in. This is all about disrupting flow of and it's on those foundations which Danny will build this team.
The nuisance factor. Before we move on, Phil, Peter Thomas, the Blues chairman, has said in the press today that they've signed 4 exciting players for next season. He's not given any names away, and there's perhaps another 2 signings to come. Lee Halfpenny, he's openly said, is at the top of his shopping list. Can you honestly see Lee Halfpenny coming back to the Blues and probably taking a big pay cut and playing for a team that isn't currently in the Champions Cup?
Look, the Blues have been in sort of evolution, if you like, for the last 3 or 4 years, and you know, they certainly need quality players. They have got a lot of quality players there, by the way. I know they've looked at a philosophy of obviously decreasing the group, so there is more quality to come in. But for me, all those things are crucial, Ross. But for me, it's a bit of consistency and continuity to allow, as Ryan has said, Danny's got a mantra around set piece and breakdown, and to allow him to the next 2 or 3 years to build the group and maximise the potential of the group and then bring in quality players as and when he can.
We've got to move on, but a quick injury update for you. We saw Sam Warburton, Dan Biggar leave the field. Both are being assessed tomorrow. Dan Biggar, just a back spasm, not thought to be too serious. Sam Warburton did leave the field with a moon boot yesterday, but hopefully that's just precautionary. Tom James, we've been told as well, is going to undergo return to play concussion protocols. Right then, for one of the Blues, though, things are looking up. Lloyd Williams has re-established himself as a first-choice scrum half at the region, and his cameo at the World Cup out of position on the wing provided one of Wales's most memorable moments.
The whole world stood still because it was like, this is going to happen.
Matter of trying to create something as the game is coming to a close.
He, in his mind, is running the line that Gareth Davis is running. He knows that.
He knew where Gareth Davis was supposed to be.
It was just beautiful.
This is going to happen. They're going to score.
And the rest, as they say, is history!
Thankful to Gareth for picking up the ball and scoring. So there was a few different factors as well as that led to him being knocked out, but I was glad I was part of it. But it's all moves on so quickly. I was back before I knew it, and you know I wanted that because I was eager to get back and start playing regional rugby because I hadn't played scrum half for a while. So it was nice to be back with playing scrum half with a 9 on my back. There's been a lot of change here over the last 4 years, and it's been tough for everyone with the amount of things that change on a year-to-year basis. But finally, we've got some stability here, and I feel like, although results haven't gone our way, that the club is on the turn. And at stages, we look good and we do some good things. We've scored a lot of tries this year already. It's just the fact that at times we let ourselves down, do things that you see on a youth pitch, and that can't be the case. And I feel like once we can put those things right, and we can really kind of establish ourselves as a force, because until now, the last 3 years, we've probably underachieved. It is a good thing that there's good scrum halves around, because scrum halves are competitive people as it is, so you just equally want to be on top of the game, and you don't want to give anyone a chance to kind of sneak in front of you. There's good scrum halves like Rhys Webb is obviously he's the established scrum half at the moment. Gareth Davis did very well in the World Cup. I was frustrated not to play at all, not much at scrum half during the World Cup, but equally I'm just as determined to make my claim there. Personally, I just try and concentrate on on doing my job as best I can for the Blues. I then think that other honours take care of themselves, but when you're involved in the Welsh setup, you want Wales to win, and I wasn't anywhere more happy when I saw Gareth score that try against England. So, you know, that's Gareth's game, and it's mine that I can control, so I can't do anything about anyone else's game.
Top stuff from Lloyd Williams there. And Ryan, we always hear players say this, that if everyone in their position is playing well, it's great because it elevates everyone's performance levels. But in Wales, there are so many good scrum halves. If you're Lloyd Williams, who's perhaps third in the Welsh pecking order now, you must some days be looking at the others and thinking, oh, come on, boys, have an off day.
Yeah, and then that's only human, isn't it? But essentially, we're all a slave to our generation. You know, he'll be glad that he is figuring at a time, and he's been fortunate enough to play in some great Welsh teams as well. What's great about Lloyd is his character. He does work incredibly hard, and hopefully with some development of the Blues, and as they develop their game, Lloyd will have far more impact and a longer, better career. But let's be fair, when he came on against England, that was a moment of brilliance. You know, he played and executed his skill set on the wing, don't forget, with instinct and with precision, and he'll dine out on that for the rest of his career now.
Absolutely. Everyone's still talking about it. Fantastic piece of skill, and what a moment it was. OK, back to the Pro 12 now then, and Edinburgh and the Dragons locked horns in Murrayfield on Friday night. Both teams hoping their recent good form in Europe could be transferred to the Pro 12.
Without a win on the road since March, the Dragons were still without injured Wales number 8 Talupir Faletau, but had international winger Tom Pridey back for his first game since early October after recovering from a knee injury. Edinburgh, with 2 convincing European wins under their belt, made 5 changes to their starting 15 and 2 positional. The Dragons hadn't won in Murrayfield since 2012.
A metre now short for Edinburgh. The forwards keep it tight. Little counter-ruck. Forces problem. Hidalgo Klein to that man again. Dupree is inches short from the try line. Advantage being played here for Edinburgh. Free ball screams Hidalgo Klein. What does that mean? Have they got something up their sleeves? Are they going themselves? The forwards scream that they got there. The try will be given to Nell. Now it's Scott with the offload. Behind the back to Burley. Sevens rugby from the home side. 5 metres short. Taken up. And the stretch. And Nell, I think, has got a second.
Yeah, good play by Nell. You're going to question whether it's a double movement, but he's allowed to reach out.
Now the boos say everything around Murrayfield. The home side, the home pack in a defensive position, but that looks like a solid scrum. Eventually wheels, but eventually a penalty is given to Edinburgh.
He's got his yellow card out here, the referee.
Into the bin goes Boris Stankovic. For Price, in on the angle, putting pressure, then he goes down on his elbow, and the penalty was inevitable in the end. I think Phil Price will be joining Boris Stankovic. Indeed he is. 2 loose-head props, 2 sin binnings. We'll have passive scrums now, but it'll be 13 men against 15 men.
Dragons are superb on their defence here.
Stankovic will be back on, so they'll be back to 14, the Dragons. But they need to hang on. There's an advantage being played. Huge overlap on the far side. Was that pass forward? Dickinson over the try line. Touches it down, and Edinburgh celebrate the second. Oh, Mr. Matre is going to tease the crowd first. He's going to go and check the foul play and then give the decision of the try. What about this one on Dorian Jones? Up in the air. Takes him down gently. And there's a double whammy for the Dragons. Try and yellow card. Forwards this time, keeping it tight. 1 metre from the try line. Desperate stuff in defence from the Dragons. Hidalgo Klein has no interest in this one. He says to the forwards, you keep going. Here comes the drive again. 0.5 metre. now is out wide. Brown with a try, a third for Edinburgh. Hamish Watson. It's been a change of scrum half as well with Sean Kennedy on, and this is Sean Kennedy. The door opens up for him over the 22. Numbers out wide, they need quick possession. Desperate defence from the Dragons, and that's the bonus point. Scott with a try for Edinburgh. One last throw of the dice. Ed Jackson right to the very end. He won't be giving up. No advantage. Another penalty for the Dragons. Pretorius takes it quickly. And there's the pass. Nick Cudd, he's there. He stretches. Nick Cudd claims the try.
Our kicking game absolutely destroyed us tonight. Mixed up with 4 yellow cards. It's just, you know, it's a recipe for a 32-13 scoreline, which, as it happened, turned out to be that.
Not a happy man, Lynn Jones, and the major talking point, there were many on the night, but the major one was those 4 yellow cards. Phil, Lynn wasn't happy. He said at least 2 of them were needless. What was your take?
Yeah, I wouldn't totally disagree with him. You know, when you look, that's all you want as a player or a coach in a game is refereeing, you know, consistency really. And when you look at the situation here with Stankovic, look, if this is persistent infringing on his part or indeed on the scrum's part, you know, he's not square in the first instance. So, you know, Edinburgh got the ascendancy there. He's coming across. It's a fair card. But this one here I thought was ridiculous against Phil Price, because the Dragons have got ascendancy. If you look at the Edinburgh tight, there is his elbows in the air, but he just subtly drops his shoulder, which takes Phil Price's sort of bind away, and he goes to the floor. And for me, that is a penalty, you know, against Edinburgh, and not a yellow card against you know, Phil Price. But again, you know, there's an ascendancy factor within the scrum here with, you know, with young Dorian. You know, the tackle there, it's a strong tackle. I was quite pleased to see a 10 tackle in the second row, but his leg is slightly above the horizontal, and to the letter of the law, he's off. But again, you'd like the referee to show a little bit of empathy. Here, the key men here in the line-out are the 2 guys highlighted. You know, as they come down, the jumper comes down, the backlifter is behind the catcher, which is essentially offside. You can't argue too much what happens to Nick Cudd after this, but there's, you know, there is, you know, an issue for me with the Dragons. If I was a Dragons coach, I would be upset myself, because that's a penalty for the Dragons, not a yellow card against Nick Cudd. You know, if it was refereed correctly in the first place, what Nick did was fair enough, but as I say, there was a penalty first and foremost for the Dragons for illegal setting up of the maul.
Sorry, the problem you've got here is the referee will form an opinion. You know, the two yellows at scrum time were a result of persistent infringement. You know, you annoy a referee enough, and you've given him an out. He's got the option. Same with Dorian Jones. You know, it's to the letter of the law. It's a yellow card, and as players, we know that you cannot do this in the modern game, especially with the TMO, especially with slow motion. Same with the Nick Cudd. You know, that's the second offence for Nick Cudd, a driving line-out. He's in from the side. It's an easy penalty for the referee to give. And when referees aren't that experienced, haven't got the confidence, if you like, and we all talk about Nigel Owens and why he's the best referee in the world, is because he's got empathy for the game. He's got a confidence in his own ability to not necessarily referee to the letter of the law, but to the way in which the law was meant to be applied. You know, and that's the difference here.
That's why he's the best in the world. Nigel Owens, obviously refereed the Welsh derby yesterday as well. Back to the action now then. And we had the Welsh derby, as we mentioned. There was also 2 Irish derbies yesterday, both of them pretty tasty affairs. And we'll start with top of the table Connacht against Munster.
Marmion to O'Halloran in off the wing, brought down by Thomas O'Leary, but it's back with Marmion. Aki twisting out the first tackle, using his strength. Marmion has it again, looks at his options, flick back inside. Delane from McGinty's pass, and the big second row just held a fraction short.
Held up first, he was held up, now he's gone back. There's the ball.
Possession eventually coming back for Muldoon. Aki, the inside ball. Ali Muldowney.
Stay in.
Time for the Munster defence to regroup, but it's away from Buckley eventually. Oh, lovely break from O'Halloran, cutting in at the angle, and he's clean through for the first score on 17 minutes. O'Donoghue with the catch from Scannell's throw. It's up the jumper. Scannell has it back, the hooker at the back of it, being driven over in a red wave, and a try for Neil Scannell. O'Leary away to Keatley. Oh, Keatley posing questions of the Connacht defence. Conway was taken out, up in support.
This is the situation we've got. There's a 2-on-1 with a full-back. The player passes it, you tackle the player early. In a try-scoring opportunity, the try was probably going to be scored, but for your act, it's going to be a yellow card and it's going to be a penalty try. So,
John Muldoon can hardly believe the decision from Ben Whitehouse and Simon McDowell, but it is a penalty try, much to Connacht's anger. Muldoon taking it forward as Connacht look to close this game out with just 2.5 minutes left. That's the Munster 22-metre line. Marmion has it. Can they end 29 years of hurt in Limerick? Oh, that's a lovely step from Henshaw. The offload to Bundy Aki, and Aki surely seals it in the corner.
Both sides have had disappointing starts to their European Champions Cup campaign, and neither side shone in this low-scoring Irish derby. With Ulster looking for successive away wins for the first time in the tournament since February, it was the home team who came away with a victory. All the points came in the first half, Sean Cronin scoring the only try of the match.
Yeah, not the most compelling between Leinster and Ulster, but that match between Connacht and Munster at Thomond Park, the first time Connacht have won in the professional era, a massive result for them. Phil, put that into context. How significant is that?
Well, I think it's fantastic, because when you go back maybe, I don't know, 10 years maybe, they were the sort of province where everybody, all the players would go who everybody else didn't want, sort of thing. So, to come forward and be top of the league, that's a first. To win at Thomond Park is fantastic. And again, it's just great testimony to the system that they put in place there. They've kept a lot of consistency and continuity with coaches over a long period of time. And Pat Lam at the moment is putting the icing on the cake for them, and they're playing some terrific rugby, and as we've seen there, achieving some fantastic results.
$1 million question, Ryan. Can they sustain it? Are they potential champions?
Well, I don't see why not. We're 8 rounds in. They've got 7 wins. They've got 5 home wins, and we all know Galway's a tough place to go. When that wind and rain's coming in.
That's not just a cliche. Is it?
No, unbelievable. The conditions are incredible. Can be incredible. So, I think we've got to remember that they lost the least amount of players to the Rugby World Cup as well. So they play with a consistency and momentum. Tournaments and leagues are won with confidence, momentum. This is a team who's playing with wonderful confidence. They all know exactly what they're doing, and they're becoming incredibly difficult and tough to beat.
Who'd have thought it? Connacht top of the league after 8 rounds. We'll find out how Scarlets got on in a few moments' time. They're chasing them, of course, at the top of the league. But first to Beth and news from the Premiership and beyond.
Yeah, thank you very much. And despite the atrocious weather, no games in the Principality Premiership were postponed over the weekend. And we begin our roundup at a very wet and muddy Pandy Park. And it's been a good week for Cross Keys. Their Dragons Academy and Wales Under-20s prop Leon Brown was named Player of the Month for October. And their home win over Neath saw them go top of the table. The Welsh All Blacks scored a try late in the second half, but they remain winless so far this season. The Keys were dominant up front. Their number 8, Adam Powell, scored twice. They were also awarded a penalty try. Number 8, Richard Brooks, marked his 100th appearance for Llandyfri with 2 tries as the Drovers demolished Cardiff. The Blue and Blacks failing to get any points on the board. Llandyfri secured the bonus point in the first half as they kept the pressure on Cross Keys at the top of the table. Their 5th try came late on with replacement wing Mike Evans crossing in the corner. Another player marked his century for his club over the weekend, Kerry Sweeney for Pontypridd, but he had little to celebrate as Bedwas scored a hat-trick of tries before half-time. Dragons centre Aled Brew finished off this flowing move. Defending champions Ponty scored a penalty try in the second half, but have now lost 3 consecutive games in the league. It was 10th versus 11th at the Park, with the Ravens' number 8, Ashton Evans, once again touching down for his side. But in the end, it was the home team who made sure of the win in a hard-fought contest. And Quinn centre Dylan Morgan took advantage of a loose ball, winning the race to the line in the final moments of the game. Ebbw Vale took advantage of the wind at their backs to score 2 tries at the Talbot Athletic Ground in the first half. Aberafan made use of the conditions in the second half to score 2 tries of their own, but the visitors held on for the win. Thursday night, the Black and Ambers won their first game at Parc Scarlet since 2009. The result saw them go top of the league, albeit short-lived, but a remarkable turnaround for a side who were bottom last season. And with 3 tries themselves, Llanelli secured a losing bonus point, but have now lost their 3rd consecutive league game. And that defeat sees Llanelli drop to 9th, with Newport 3rd on the same number of points as 2nd place Llandyfri. Crosskeys have gone top with no change at the bottom, Neath with just 4 points at the halfway mark of the season. Homosexuality in sport is still considered a taboo subject, but Welsh rugby is breaking down these barriers. And at grassroots levels, 2 Welsh clubs are leading the way. The Swansea Vikings and the Cardiff Lions are 2 both gay-inclusive clubs. And we recently sent our Scrum 5 cameras to this groundbreaking Welsh derby.
We are the new kids on the block in the gay and inclusive rugby side. It was formed by our chairman, Steve Larkham, and his idea was to give a safe and secure environment for gay men to start playing rugby or to go back to the game they played many years ago. I saw the post on Facebook and I did comment to Steve. I'm surprised because I played rugby a long time that they need sort of a gay-only team, and he instantly came back. It's not gay-only, it just happens to be the majority are gay. I explained I was straight. He said, great, yeah, so anyone can play. Any ability, any age, any sexuality.
Right. This is your chance to do this, right? We'll give it to them 110%, right? Absolutely hammer that.
How many of our own community actually say, hang on a minute, I can't play rugby, I can't play football because of my sexual orientation, and it's high time and parcel, if you will, that those kind of messages are struck off people's radars. World Rugby signed a charter against homophobia with International Gay Rugby, the IGR. Sexual orientation isn't a barrier, full stop.
I came away from rugby sort of after school, mainly because I didn't feel comfortable in that environment. There was a lot of gay banter, as it would probably be called now. And for somebody who's coming to terms with their sexuality, it's really hard for you to accept who you are yourself without people who you play rugby with adding to that pressure.
With Gareth Thomas, obviously came out a few years back now, and he's set the way, I suppose, for it to be accepted.
Is mainstream rugby that inclusive? I think in Wales, to a majority, yes, especially with great role models like Gareth Thomas and Nigel Owens.
It's a really important day. Obviously, the Lions have been around since 2004, and to get the Swansea guys to set up a team in the summer and then now be playing competitive rugby fairly regularly is absolutely amazing. And for us, obviously, there's always the Cardiff-Swansea rivalry.
Sam, stay off, get up! Walk the way! Yeah, bragging rights are on the line. Cardiff and Swansea, in any sport, has got that rivalry. I feel if we perform as I know we can, we'll send them back to Cardiff with a defeat, and we will be the top team, gay and inclusive team in Wales.
I think it's absolutely fantastic that you should be able to play rugby or do whatever you want. If you're gay, if you're straight, it doesn't really matter. It just proves that, and so you can tell by the turnout here now, that rugby is rugby, anyone can play it.
Oh, lovely. I think it is good for any community then to actually see people from different walks of life all coming together, joined in the actual team spirit and aiming to win for their local team.
You know, rugby was seen as such a masculine, macho sport, and it's really great that it's inclusive and that people of all sexualities, all sexual identities feel they can come together for the love of the game.
My son is playing, so I'm just here to support my son and his team.
And I always remember the rivalry between Cardiff and Swansea, so it's really nice, having spent some time in Cardiff, it's really nice to be back home and supporting the local team.
Definitely tell the Vikings are up for that, and they've done what we've asked and we've won the game. Buzzing. I would say, as hard as it seems, just get in the club and give it a go, because once you get a teammate, you're going for life, you know. for me, rugby makes a special brotherhood. Don't think of any negative, just jump in and it will pay off for you, like it has for our guys. 6 months together, all new mates. Some have got confidence issues, now they've gone through rugby and through the team. So I would say just do it, guys, and we'll be there for you.
Well, the Premiership survived the weather over the weekend, but plenty of games in the lower leagues were postponed, including Pantyffynon against Penygroes, and that's where Ricochet was meant to be over the weekend. But hopefully we will catch up with Pantyffynon's goal-kicking hooker before the end of the season. Plenty of up-the-jumper rugby over the weekend as well. There was a 3-3 draw between Tonmawr and Birchgrove, and a 5-5 draw between Caerau Ely and Cefn Coed. And quite a result in the Soil League Championship as well. Merthyr 99-0 winners over Llanharan. In the Aviva Premiership, Priestlyn came off the bench for Bath for their away loss to Leicester Tigers this afternoon. Over the weekend, and fresh from his new contract at Franklin's Gardens, George North faced his Wales teammates James Hook and Ross Moriarty as Northampton beat Gloucester. And in the top 14, Luke Chatteris was part of the winning Racing 92 side over Toulouse. Mike Phillips was on the bench, but that all happened after a certain Dan Carter, a £1.3 million player, was unveiled in front of his new home crowd.
Very good. So he's not one of Peter Thomas's mystery four men that the Blues are signing
Not
next
for
season.
now, not for
I think
now.
we can establish that. OK, back to the Pro 12 now then. And the Scarlets were hoping to, well, make things right after the last couple of weeks. 6 wins in a row to start the season, and then the season rather hit the skids. 3 defeats in a row followed in Europe and the Pro 12. Wayne Pivac's men were hoping to return to winning ways when they welcomed Zebra to Parker Scarlets.
Wayne Pivac made 10 changes from his side that lost to Racing 92 for Zebra's visit to Parker Scarlets, including a new front row, a new back row and a new half-back partnership of Aled Davis and Aled Thomas. Regan King also returned to midfield. The Italians travelled to Llanelli with confidence, with 3 wins in the last 5 matches in all competitions.
Gareth Owen. Or Palazzani didn't really want to know that. Owen gets a hand to it. It's been tapped back on the Scarlet side. Zebra defence could be disorganised if they can get quick ball here. Way to Parks, to King, delaying the pass. James Davis up in the outside centre position. The flanker likes the wide open spaces. And there's a chance here for Hadley Parks to bullock his way through for the first score after 8 minutes. Manici sees his 4th line out straight. Throw go astray. James Davis in midfield. Aled Davis, Aled Thomas. Parks, the try scorer, could create here. Yes. Oh, there's the chance for Aled Davis to finish off. Glorious stuff from the Scarlets. 9 minutes into the second half. Biaggi with the line-out leap. Can Zebre wrestle their way over from 7 or 8 metres out?
He's away. The number 8.
They're through.
He's in.
They're up to the line. They're over. And Zebre have their first reward of the afternoon. Canna looks to go down the middle. Berryman was calling for the cross kick. Violi goes. Hasn't got it down yet, I don't think. Violi for the line.
Last-ditch tackle there. I think held him up there. He was over the line. John, I want to check the ground in. Good tackle. Is he over? He's not drowned it. That's a good hold-up, that is. That's no try.
It's repeated infringement against your team. You come and decide. Ball was not out.
Yellow card against Marcelino Paulino. Repeated infringements from his side.
Yellow card. Did you see that? Set. Steady.
Zebre against a 14-man Scarlet defence with this chance then to get back within striking range. It's gone down on this near side.
Oh, is it going to be a try?
Van Schalkwijk goes again.
Good power.
And has powered his way over. Owen looking for the blindside dart.
Oh, spun out.
Pinched illegally.
He needs to stick this one over now, Nick.
The pressure on Steve Shingler. Can he find the target this time? He's hit it low. This time it is straight enough. And at the last, the Scarlets have a 2-score lead.
Obviously they've got a strong line-out drive, and our discipline let us down, and we gave them too many chances, and they took a couple of them really well, and then it was game on again. So pleased to have shut it out and got the 4 points, but certainly plenty to work on for next week.
So this is how the table looks after 8 rounds of action. That victory for the Scarlets takes them back up to 2nd spot behind the leaders. Connacht, Munster and Leinster make up the top 4. Defending champions Glasgow are hot on their heels in 5th, with fellow Scots Edinburgh just behind them in 6th. The Ospreys, Dragons and Blues are in 8th, 9th and 10th respectively, and still way off the pace when it comes to European qualification. So Phil, for the Scarlets, they'd had that bit of a sticky patch in Europe, 2 defeats. Good to get back into the Pro 12 with another winner and keep the pressure on Connacht, but it wasn't as easy as it appeared to be after 10 minutes.
No, I know from experience Zebra can be a very frustrating team to play against, and you know, the Scarlets scored 2 lovely tries in the first, I think it was 14-0 up after about 19 minutes. And the second try was a great line-out steal from Shingler, and then Alec Davis scored over the far side. And you know, Zebra were frustrated. They got a pretty decent driving line, a good set piece. They're pretty direct, and they will continue to try and play, and they just don't go away. And you've got to keep your discipline. As Wayne said, there was a bit of frustration where maybe the Scarlets didn't keep their discipline, but they ground the win out. Not great conditions again, as you said, and Shingler, not for the first time this year, you know, kicking a vital penalty at the end to deny, you know, Zebra a bonus point and get the Scarlets that win. So I think they'll be pleased, and it's great to see the momentum building with the new signings coming. It's exciting times there.
Very briefly, Ryan, because we haven't got much time left, plenty of speculation about some old mates of yours maybe leaving the Ospreys. Alan Wynne-Jones, Rhys Webb, Dan Biggar, all out of contract. How desperate will they be to keep them there?
Well, both Ospreys and Wales, I'm sure, will be desperate to keep, you know, arguably 3 of our star players. Alan Wynne-Jones is, in my opinion, the best player of a generation, and he's instrumental to everything that's good at the Ospreys, on and off the field. So what we've got to remember, though, is these guys want to play top-class winning rugby. They want to be competing for the biggest trophies in Europe as well on offer. So, you know, we need to make sure we're still offering them that as well. Indeed. We shall wait and see what the outcome on that is. Thanks for your company tonight, gents. Thanks to you too for watching at home. That's all we have time for, I'm afraid. And the entire rugby world, as we know, has been in mourning for the last fortnight after we learned of the premature death of Jonah Lomu at the age of just 40. His funeral is in New Zealand tomorrow. We thought we'd end tonight by taking a look back at our memories of the big man. Good night.
My father was in Counties Rugby Union, South Auckland, and spotted the 15-year-old, 6'6" and 17, 18 stone at that time, and this fella running through everybody, running 100 metres in 11 seconds. So it was obvious to see then Jonah's potential, and then he kind of became part of the family. I remember the first time I met him, this big fella, my little big brother, if you like.
But it's out to Jonah Lomu. We haven't seen him yet, and he's past Chris Wyatt, just swatted him aside, and Gareth Cooper hasn't got a hope. Matthew Robinson is on the field for Wales, but his chase is in vain. It's the first we've seen of Lomu.
In his pomp, he was the most potent attacking weapon in the history of rugby union.
And it gives me great pleasure to present Jonah Lomu with Overseas Sports Personality of the Year 1995.
He was someone that inspired a lot of us to start playing rugby. I remember watching him at the Blues, and you know, I came watch every game when he played at home, and he's just such an exciting player, and the fact that he played for the Blues for a short while was you know, something to remember and cherish.
The welcome that the Welsh give me every time I come here is phenomenal, and for myself it's you know, I call it a home away from home.
The image that we see on the TV with him running with an aggressive face, running over the top of people, just a total desire to score tries and win. Off the field, he was a total different character. He loved giving. He'd do anything for anyone. He was a great guy.
It's a game that you should enjoy and you should love and love doing it. It doesn't matter where you are, whether if you're in Paris playing in the biggest stadiums or you know, if you're playing at the Millennium tomorrow. You know, this is where it all sort of starts. And for me, it's just a privilege to play the game that I love.